Hey there, I want to ask you a question. You have likely heard the phrase people living outside their means, right? And when we think about that, what do we think about? Well, we think about people who are in debt, right? They are spending more money than the actual money that they are earning. Well, a fact is that a vast majority of adults out there today, and kids as well, are also living outside of their means when it comes to their time. All right. What do I mean by that? Well, same principle applies as it does financially, where what it means is that you are committing to activities, events, meetings, things on your task list, and you are making commitments that are way more time consuming than the actual time that you have. And what this means is just like when we do that with our money, we go into debt. Well, we can go into time debt. And most people today are operating in a severe state of time debt. My name is Megan Summerall. I am a time management and planning expert for women. And I am on a mission to help people achieve a life of true work life harmony through all things time management, organization, planning, and productivity. So, today I want to talk to you about this idea of time debt and, most importantly, what you can do to start to get out of it. And I'm going to share a real live example of a student that I recently worked with. She booked an entire VIP day with me where we worked one on one to get the top framework up and running for her and her tools and her life. And she is currently in a stage of life working a W-2 job. And what I mean when I say that is she is an employee working for a company where she owes them 40 hours a week of her time, and in turn she gets paid for that. So she was in and it had been going on for quite some time, a place where she just kept saying, like, I'm always having to catch up with work on the weekends. I'm not having any time for stuff. I'm getting up earlier and earlier. I'm starting my day earlier and earlier, and I can't seem to get on top of things. And everything personal was just falling apart because work had become all consuming. So here's the interesting data that we found. And I'm going to share with you some steps that we went through. And these are things that you can do as well. So the first thing I said was, hey, all right, let's take a step back. I just want to ask you, how much time do you feel you need a week? If I were to just ask you, knowing that you've got, some recurring meetings and things like that, how much time do you need at your desk without interruptions to work on the projects that you are in charge of, right? I mean, we all have assignments for work. And she's like, I need a good 20 to 30 hours a week to do the job I'm being hired to do, not just to be, admin, meetings, management, etc. I said, okay, let's remember that. So then I said, all right, step one, and this is a step that you can take as well. We said, step one, let's go look at a normal, typical week for you and understand how much of your time each week is already spoken for with recurring commitments. So in this example, we were looking at meetings, right? Do you have recurring meetings each week that are happening on autopilot? Now, for you in your life, when you go do this step, it could be, do you know how much time on average per week do you have with committed appointments, right? So maybe it's at work with meetings, maybe you're home with kids and you have recurring driving to soccer practices, events, school pickup, drop off, doctors, dentists, etc. All right. Now here's what was interesting. When we looked at her calendar on an average week, she already had 23 hours of her 40-hour work week consumed most weeks in pre-booked meetings. That's over half of her work time is just spent in meetings, right? Any employers listening to this, I would encourage you to highly assess your organization and ask yourself, how much money do you want to spend on people to be in meetings, right? But that's a whole other topic. So step two, then we said, all right, so now you only have 17 hours left to work. Now remember, she said she needed a good 20 or 30 to just get the project she was assigned done. Already we have less than that. So then I said, all right, step two, let's now look at, I want you to kind of make a short list for me of what are the recurring tasks that don't show up on your calendar as a meeting or an appointment, but things that you're having to do on a regular, recurring, weekly basis, maybe even twice a week. And for her in this work environment, that included, there was two big meetings that she ran that she needed to create agendas for. All right. And that took time to prep all the agenda and the slides for the meetings. So it's kind of a presentation style. There were reports that needed to be run and turned in every single week. And then she knew on average, there was a chunk of time of requests coming in from the person who was running the entire contract that she knew, there's usually a good 3 to 4 hours of ad hoc requests that I need to be able to turn around and get done that week. Now, for you in your life, I want you to do the same thing. What are the things that you are doing on a recurring basis every week, either for your job, for your personal life, if you run your own business, for those as well, things that don't typically show up on your calendar. So we don't see, it's not something we tangibly see the time for. Well, by the time we added up hers, that was another 8 hours. So where this left us was already 31 hours of her 40-hour work week were spoken for every Monday before the day even started, between meetings and recurring tasks. That left 9 hours. That's it. 9 hours were left to actually do the project work, right? Well, she knew she needed 20 or 30 hours. Well, now we know exactly why. The data was showing exactly why she was working more and more hours, waking up earlier, catching up on the weekends, canceling personal plans, right? Within her work life, she was running in time debt. She was needing 60 hours of time instead of the 40. And friends, this is all too common, whether it's in a work environment or whether it's in a personal, right? Your home life, managing all the things there. Maybe you're a business owner like I am. And I'd love to know if you're watching. Let me know. Do you feel like you yourself are in time debt? Do you feel like you're never catching up? Your personal life is always being put on the back burner. Things are falling through the cracks. They're getting done just in time, right? That is likely a sign that you are living in debt with your time. But we don't see it as tangibly as we do with our money, because money is something we see. We can log into our bank accounts, right? We can see what's in there. We see the bills coming in and out. But with our time, aside from those appointments on our calendar, right? We see those visibly, whether it's a paper calendar or a digital calendar. All those other things I was talking about, those recurring tasks that you have to do each week for your job or for your life, the projects that you're working on, they don't typically get plugged into your calendar. So you don't have a way of seeing, is there too much on your plate this week, next month, etc. And this is why I am so passionate on teaching planning the way I teach it. Because at the heart of all of it, the ultimate goal is to help you not get into time debt and actually take control back with your calendar and your time. And when you have control back with your calendar and your time, what happens is you start to have time for the things that you love. You know what you need to say no to. You get to have very different conversations at work. Sure, I'd love to get that done, but here are the things that I'm currently working on as my top priorities that will take up my time for this week. Do you need me to reshuffle any priorities, right? It empowers you with the data, actual tangible data, to help you see what is possible and what isn't. And when we have that, we get to make very intentional choices about how we choose to spend our time. Just as when we can see that with money, if I know going into a given month, hey, I've got $200 of discretionary fund money. That's it, $200. Well, if I am tempted to spend that money on something, but I know I've only got 200, I may choose to say no, right? Because I'm empowered with that information. So it's going to help me prioritize how I spend that money. Just as if I know, hey, I've only got 7 hours of available discretionary time this week, it's going to empower me to potentially say no to certain things and to feel really good about what I'm saying yes to. Now, this idea of understanding realistically how much time is in the bank, how much time is already spoken for, is something that lives at every level of planning that I teach. There's 4 key levels: weekly planning, monthly planning, quarterly planning, and annual planning. And they all support each other and they all work together. So if you are someone that feels like you are constantly living in time debt, I want you to go through the exercise I just shared here today. Just look at a typical week and do the math. Add up the time of what are my usual appointments, commitments? How much time am I spending on recurring tasks? Guys, I'm even talking about the grocery shopping, the meal planning, the packing of school lunches, the chores around the house, right? How much time is already spoken for so that you can get an idea of realistically what is your discretionary time every week? What are you honestly looking at? Now, if you want to set yourself up for success into 2025 and beyond to ensure that you don't get into time debt, well, I want to invite you to join me for my Planapalooza event. I hold this once a year and once a year only. The event itself is actually not until October, but I open early bird tickets now because one, I want you to make sure you can get it on your calendar. And two, we do this kind of planning in October. We don't wait till December or January because let's face it, Q4 is always nuts. And if you wait to plan for the year in January, you're going to miss the first month or two opportunity to be getting things done. So the information on Planapalooza is at megansummerall.com/plan. I've got the link below here in the video. Early bird tickets are only $47. All right. And with that, you get the live 2-day annual planning event with me with all of it recorded for you as well. And the recordings put up in a replay portal. You get the annual planning guide digital workbook. It's a 100-page workbook that you will be using to build your plans to make sure you don't go into time debt in 2025. You are also going to get access to 6 bonus guest experts who have pre-recorded training for you to support you in 2025 with all things time management, organization, and productivity. And this year, I'm even adding on a live 2-hour Q&A session with me after the event, a few days after the event. So you can have time to kind of sit and reflect on everything that you've built and learned, and then be able to come back and get your questions answered from me. But the price goes up on September 1st. So you can get locked in now for only $47. Again, go to megansummerall.com/plan. I've got the link in the descriptions below. Secure your spot. And together, we're going to make sure that 2025 is a year where you are no longer living outside of your time means. Have a great day.